What is up, YouTube people? Eric here with Team Badman. It is Friday, so you guys know what that means. It is spoiler day. We have another round of spoilers coming at you guys for Awakening, and this is the last round of Awakening spoilers that has a brand new mastery to it. If you guys remember last week, we took a look at the Red Ascension Mastery and the brand new Trunk stack, which puts a little bit of a new twist on Red style and MPPV as a whole. You still get benefit out of your critical damage effects. You get to gain extra stages, you gain some passive anger, you gain some active anger, and the ability to force your opponent to skip actions is super strong. And this is combined with the Trunk stack, which has some great anger application. The ability to double anger on level 1 is fantastic. He's got some interaction with sword cards, being able to rejuvenate them or use them or get extra effects. And he also has effects that forces him to skip his own actions, which is very interesting. First for the game, and it makes it a little bit more pick and choose as to what level you necessarily want to use at what point for a Trunk stack. But enough about last week. This week we have the final mastery that we've been waiting out, which is the Namekian Radiant Mastery. Of course, along with Earth Dragon Balls coming out, this mastery is very catered towards the Earth Dragon Balls. It has some fantastic effects, gives you some extra damage buffs to it. It's got a very usable in combat effect, and this is combined with the Cell stack. Now, of course, Cell stack is one of the most notoriously powerful. Its original release point in the game, with level 3, level 4 interaction being arguably the most powerful interaction that we've seen in the game thus far. So much to the point that it actually had to get nerfed in a CRD update. Of course, we've got a video already covering that, but enough about that. That's all in the past. Instead, Cell's new stack is focused on allies. And of course, you know, that's expected with all the Cell Juniors appearing. He's also got a lot of mill effects going on, so he's starting to peel cards directly off your opponent's life deck. Some really strong effects on a very interesting and also somewhat disappointing level 4. So for this video, we are going to take a look at the Namekian Radiant Mastery, the brand new Cell MP stack, the Cell Junior Allies 1, 2, and 3, yes, you saw that right, and the brand new name card Cell's Provocation. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So of course we have to start off with the mastery here, which is the Namekian Radiant Mastery. Now, as I mentioned at the start, this is very catered towards Earth Dragon Balls and has some really strong applications, a bunch of great MPs. There's a continuous power that says, whenever Earth Dragon Ball you own enters play during combat, raise your anger 1 level. So that's always nice. You gain a little bit of extra anger. It's similar to the old Knowledge Mastery, but instead of milling, you gain some anger. Works well with Namekian, who's got kind of a more slime anger approach. It's not too bad there. And it also says, while 3 or more Earth Dragon Balls you own are in play, your attacks deal +2 life cards of damage. So the interesting thing about the wording here is, while 3 or more you own are in play. So it raises a little bit of wording question there. It's a little bit clunky in my mind on the wording about that, because it can mean, you know, maybe they're Dragon Balls from your deck, or you know, whatever it might be. It's a little bit convoluted for some newer players who may not quite be familiar with the parlance. But the ability of extra damage in Namekian is fantastic, because Namekian doesn't have a whole lot of modifiers off its cards, and its drills or seps or anything like that don't really provide a whole lot of modifiers. And it makes it really hard for Namekian to deal critical damage, especially get off cards like Wall Breaker outside of running blatantly powerful attacks like Namekian Salvo or Namekian Door Destruction, or having to use, you know, Focus Assault or Sagacious Strike, whatever it may be. The card also has an immediate power on it that says, if less than 3 Dragon Balls that you own are in play, you can search your life deck for 1 and place into play. So it ties in with its own continuous effect if you're using the Earth Dragon Balls, so you get to raise your anger 1. This has a lot of application across some Dragon Ball oriented MPs who can use it. This is really strong late game for an MP like Piccolo, who can, you know, get out balls a little bit more safely and prevent the opponent from utilizing their effects if you use Evolution 4. Lord Slug gets a lot of application out of this, since he can just pull out early game Dragon Balls, place them out, and he can, you know, use those effects later on in the game with maybe, you know, Namekian Hurried Quest or Namekian Targeted Strike. Nail has the ability to reutilize Dragon Balls once they're on the field, so you can start pulling those out and just gaining some really passive anger out of it. there's a lot of really nice application here with the Earth Dragon Balls, and I think that's where it's primarily going to be focused as a mastery, especially looking towards the future when we're bound to have new stacks. New Piccolo stack is inevitable, a Dende stack is inevitable, Gohan is going to be able to use the Dragon Balls, so there's going to be a lot of application around here for the mastery, and I think it works out actually really, really well as a counterpart, at least Earth Dragon Ball related to the restored mastery. So you've got a little bit more control, a little bit more slimy of an option here as opposed to the restored mastery, which is very, very gung-ho, all about your effects. Paired along with the Namekian Radiant Mastery is, of course, the Cell stack, which is a little bit interesting considering that, most times the Namekian Mastery and centered around the Dragon Balls and whatnot has basically fallen on Piccolo at this point. And, of course, there wasn't a new Piccolo stack release, and there wasn't really any other MP that you could put there, especially since all of the other stacks that are in starter decks are heroes. So they had to, of course, fit Cell into here. But before we cover what any of his MP levels do, I want to talk about his little buddies, and those are the Cell Junior allies. Yes, there are 3 different Cell Junior allies that you can have in this deck. You roll 1 copy of each, of course. That's the whole point of them. But all of them have this very interesting parenthetical that says they can't gain stages, which is a very interesting way to approach allies. It actually works kind of well, especially in a Dragon Ball oriented mastery, since you're going to have the ability to gain stages with some of your Dragon Ball effects, or maybe something like Namekian Forceful Block. And they all have a PUR of 0, so they're not going to be gaining any stages more than what they've already got on the field. However, all of them have unique effects that are ally-oriented, and even have some effects when they leave play. So let's go ahead and take a look at what all of these allies do. So the first Cell Junior ally is called Cell Junior Escaping. And the thing is, I have to kind of use those descriptors in order to let you know exactly which one that we are talking about, since I can't say Cell Junior 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. But this one has a much more simple effect than the other two. His effect says, when this card is leaving play, you may banish it to destroy the top card of your opponent's life deck. And what you're going to see destroying the top card of life decks is going to be, kind of a theme around Cell here. He's going to be all about destroying cards from the top of the life deck. He's really giving a Wheelo run for his money here with all of the ways that he can very, very easily mill an opponent without having to worry about milling his own deck. So that could actually be a little bit of an approach you could use with these allies here. This ally fits in perfectly to it. It's relatively easy, to pop off some of your own allies, especially in styles like blue. You can use a plethora of these effects. It may not be too bad in tag team, actually, to where you can just keep getting it back and then utilizing some of Cell's MP powers to pull your allies out, place them into play, and then just get rid of them, banish it, bring him back with the rejuve, and just keep it going. Second one on list is Cell Junior Trapped, which is probably going to be the most targeted Cell Junior ally of them all. His continuous power says, while you control one ally and only one ally, all of your effects that destroy cards from the top of your opponent's life deck have their amount increased by 1. There are a lot of options that make it really, really easy to destroy cards from your opponent's life deck. And you can see this catering to orange or to black, especially. Blue decks can utilize it. There are a lot of ways to actually get that additional effect off. And it's easy, very, very easy to just stack it up with a bunch of other cards that add additional modifiers to some of your mill effects. So, you can see this peeling off 4, 5, 6 cards from your opponent's life deck relatively easily, based on whatever card that you're using. And that extra +1 does add up over the series of the game. Along with that, Cell Junior Trapped also says if your MP is Cell, your opponent's attacks deal -1 life card of damage. So this is an extra damage modifier, which is very, very effective against certain styles right now. It immediately shuts down the Blue Resolute Masteries modifier. Of course, it can prevent a lot of cards in the Black Conflict Mastery from dealing critical damage. And it's just very effective against a lot of stronger attacks, especially, ones that are going to be really, really close to the critical damage threshold, such as Assist Kamehameha or Sinister Choke, Krillin's Destructo Disc. There are a lot of ways where -1 life card damage can actually be really, really effective. When you combine that with the additional mill boost on Cell Junior Trapped's effect, it's going to be a pretty solid target to pull out depending on how you build your deck, and it'll likely be a very, very early target for some ally hate, such as Gohan's Powers or Tug of War, Blue Betrayal, whatever it might be. And lastly on the list, we have Cell Jr. Unrelenting, which is the only MP level to actually have an attack on it. It's a physical attack, and the immediate effect says allies cannot perform attacks for the remainder of combat. Any of your allies that you control can't perform any attacks. It's physical for 3+ X stages, where X equals the amount of Cell Jr. allies that you have in play. So you can max out at 6, but it's a physical doing an alright amount of damage. But the hit effect says shuffle all allies you control with Cell Jr. in the name into their owner's life deck. So it's an easy way to cycle in and out. Some of your allies get additional effects. It's going to work, I think, relatively well in blue style, which of course has a lot of ways to pull out allies, lots of interactions that have come from Perfection and Vengeance and whatnot. There are plenty of effective ways to do it. It's not too bad of an ally. And it rounds out the suite of Cell Jr. allies relatively well. Of course, they're going to be used a lot more for their utility than as sheer beat sticks. And I think it's really interesting that they can't gain any stages, which it makes a little bit of sense, I guess, with them being Cell Juniors and whatnot. But outside of Cell, they don't really have too much other value. So I'm only going to see them really fitting into this archetype. If you can find another way to make them work in a different deck, please let me know. I'm actually very curious as to what you might come up with. So now we're on to the main event, which is the Cell MP stack. And before we even start, oh man, the art's bad. I want to like it, and I want to think that it's kind of a cool niche for some of the Cell MP levels and whatnot, but it just doesn't look very good. It looks more like hand-drawn, more kind of impressionist artwork than it actually does, feeling like original Toriyama-style Dragon Ball Z artwork. And it's, I don't know, maybe it's the perspective they're drawing from, maybe it's the size, because some of Cell's artwork is really big on the card. Even getting cut off at points, and it just looks really, really uncomfortable in a lot of places. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of it, but that's a small nitpick aside from the power of the card. And he's got plenty of great utility on his MP levels. So of course we're going to start off with the brand new level 1, which when entering combat you have an instant power that allows you to search your life deck for an ally with Cell Jr. in the tile and play it, so you can immediately start pulling out some of your allies early, get those additional utilities. Along with that, there's a power that says destroy the top card of your opponent's life deck. Shuffle an ally into play into its owner's life deck to raise or lower a player's anger 2 levels. So he's got some easy ally recycling in there, which is going to work very, very well in the ally-oriented styles, like of course Namekian here, in blue style. He's got the additional mill effect, which is something that's going to be valued in orange and black, and honestly just about any style. Plus he's got a really nice amount of built-in anger control there. Just cycling in at your allies to either level yourself up very, very quickly, or to put a lot of anger hate on your opponent, which can be really, really challenging on some decks to help push them up to levels 2, 3, wherever they might be getting to. It's not too bad of a level 1. I like it as an alternative to the original Cell level 1, which is a little bit more self-destructive. Of course, you could gain all those additional stages on it. It works out pretty well, and it fits excellently into the theme. I can see a lot of players switching over to this Cell as the level 1 as opposed to using the original, but it can go either way. It's not really a bad choice one way or the other. Next up, we've got Cell's level 2, which has a little bit of interaction with every zone. It has, of course, some additional mill effects on it, some additional ally utility. The one thing that I like to notice about this card is that on his level 2 immediately, it reaches the F bracket, which is something that no other MP stack has done. As long as we're ignoring Golden Frieza, I think it's going to add for some real power play kind of deck approaches here for Cell. Especially when you consider some of the powers on these cards. So once again, like level 1, Cell's level 2 has an immediate effect when entering combat. It says search your life deck, discard pile, or banish zone for an ally with Cell Jr. in the tile and play it. So he gets the Goku treatment, he gets to pull an ally out of anywhere, which of course makes perfect sense considering that you've got Cell Jr. escaping, who's going to be banished for some additional mill. Along with that, he's got a power that says set your MP to 0. Just set your MP to 0 power stage, destroy the top 3 cards of your opponent's life deck, and shuffle an ally into its owner's life deck. So you take a really big risk losing a whole bunch of your stages, and you destroy equal to Dr. Wheel's Revival off the top of your opponent's life deck, which is super solid for level 2. Some additional ally hate on the board, especially with all these ally decks running around, is pretty solid. Either way, whether you're using old level 2 or new level 2, it's not too bad. I would probably trend more towards this level 2 if you're really going for utilizing the Cell Junior allies, but if you're going for some more of the stage locks, some more of the kind of oppressive control approach with your Cell 2, especially if you're playing something like Saiyan Dynamic or Blue Resolute, you can use the old level 2 and it's going to work exceptionally well. So again, it's a toss-up either way. Cell busts out of style and gets nice and smooth at his new level 3, which faced some very stiff competition from one of the best original level 3s in the game. Of course, we all know the 7 life cards unpreventable, direct discard pile hate, and you can jump all the way up to level 4. So that's going to be a really tough one to match. This one also has a really strong physical attack, and it's got a very interesting when entering effect that, of course, continues with the ally approach. So when entering combat, again, you get to search your life deck, discard pile, or banish zone. This time you search for a Saiyan ally and play it. So this is an incentive to where you can run some of the other Saiyan allies. You could run Turles, you could run Nappa, you could run Vegeta if you really wanted to. There are a lot more options you can use here, and of course you can still get out the Cell Junior allies because they're Saiyan too. So if they're the only ones you run, you can pull them out. But you get a bunch of extra utility in here to use some fantastic stuff. And it's going to tie in directly to his physical attack, which is physical attack for a whopping AT plus 6 stages. But if you control 2 or more allies, destroy the top 5 cards of your opponent's life deck. So it's very easy to see the Cell stack doing just massive amounts of damage, whether or not it even hits, which is the most outrageous part. This MP level is going to be, for a while, it's going to be a really big deal for a lot of mill-oriented decks. Ultimately, it depends on the whole fast leveling thing if you want to do that. Either way, you can't really go wrong with the physical, but this one's going to cater specifically to variants that utilize the allies. So if you don't run any allies, run the old level 3, it's just going to be easier. Otherwise, you can run this one, run Namekian Leaping Kick, or Unleashed, Orange Devouring Drill. Much better ways to just level quickly and get up to that level 4. So Cell's level 4. It's an MRP. But there's nothing really wrong with the fact that it's an MRP, because Cell's original level 4 was just, it was great. You got to pull out any styled card in your life deck, you could lower your MP stack one level, which of course got you back to a fantastic level 3, and it still does either way. But I feel like it's a really underwhelming way to end this stack, especially when you take a look at the artwork. Look at that. Just look at that. It doesn't look great. It doesn't. It's just, it takes up too much of the card. A lot of him is cut off there. And I get what they were trying to do with the whole Solar Kamehameha thing, but it's bad. It's just bad. I'm not sure who passed off on this and who said, oh, hey, it's okay. This art looks perfectly fine. Who said that? Artwork aside, we also get a brand new named card for Cell, which is an event called Cell's Provocation. Now, of course, Cell already does have one event in Cell style, which actually fits extremely well into his entire stack so far. He gets the extra ability to mill, or you can just use an opponent's name card, which is great. So either way, it's going to be a win. It's going to fit into this stack really well. But Cell's Provocation works very similarly to Cell style, but in a different way. So there's a parenthetical on the card that says, if this card's rejuvenated during combat, destroy the top X cards of your opponent's life deck equal to the number of allies you control with Cell Junior in the title. So, it's going to be very easy to rejuvenate, especially with the effects of Namekian cards. That's going to be a little bit harder to use in other styles that lack rejuvenation, such as black, red, and orange. There are a whole lot of ways to do that. This can actually cater really well into a Saiyan mill deck, where you just be like, I'll pop Saiyan Rescue, rejuvenate Cell's Provocation, you mill, X amount, or whatever it might be. The immediate power says, return ally and play to its owner's hand. If that ally had Cell Junior in the title, destroy the top 3 cards of your opponent's life deck. So again, it caters directly to just cleaning cards right off the top of your opponent's life deck. You might as well just get Cell a broom and call him the cleaner, because that's exactly what he's going to be. It's not a bad name card by any means, but you have to run the allies, and you have to run the rejuvenation to really use it. Otherwise, the only name card you may still really want to use is Cell's Draining Attack, or who knows, you may even just want to drop that for Unleashed, or whatever you want to run. It's, you know, you can go one way or the other. Cell's got enough inherent mill in his stack that you don't necessarily need to run the name cards, but they're an extra nice benefit. And it's gonna bring back what Wheelo started back in the movie collection. That's gonna be just cleaning house off the top of those cards. And it's going to force a lot of decks to really consider if they want to go up against, you know, a deck like this without at least having some kind of method of getting cards back into the life deck, at least easily. So just like his old stack, Cell is going to have plenty of application in just a wide variety of styles. He's got some very, very fast anger on level 1, which seems to be a trend with some of the MP stacks here. Of course, he gets a lot of value on milling cards in the opponent's life deck. 3 is, again, super, super strong, and all of it's going to end up culminating in, you know, Cell's level 4, which it's not going to matter which one you run, because they're the exact same thing. They really are the exact same thing, and I think that's the most underwhelming part about this Cell stack. I've said it, I will continue to say it. It's like, what could it do? What could, you know, this new level 4 bring us? Oh, great. Just great. That, and I can't stand the artwork. I just really can't. I feel like it got kind of hashed together at the last minute. I really do. But all in all, Cell stack really isn't all that bad. I think it's definitely one of the better stacks we've seen so far, especially since a lot of decks are not going to be prepared for mill. If Cell comes out swinging as an MP stack and he really makes his way back into the metagame again, it could be a really, really strong you know, disruption point for a lot of really popular decks that don't have a lot of ways of getting cards back. And it may even bring a rise in the popularity of Namekian once again. And of course, you know, the Radiant Mastery is fantastic for that. It gives you a means to utilize the Earth Dragon Balls, something that, you know, a lot of older MPs such as Nail and especially Lord Slug are really, really going to appreciate. There's going to be just... It's going to be a really, really good time to be a Namekian player because you've got 2 fantastic Masteries to work with. You know, knowledge? Well, what was that? What was that? You've got plenty of options here, and that's the nicest part about it. So that is going to do it for this video and our final quick look regarding a Mastery. I really, really hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, be sure to click that like button down below. If not, click the dislike button down below and let me know what you guys didn't like, so that way I can fix it for next week. I'm always looking to make them better. You guys know that. I love you guys so much, you know, for all the feedback you've provided. So please continue to do that, so that way I can just make it better for y'all. Also, if you haven't hit that subscribe button down below, please be sure to do so. We are this close to 500 subscribers, which is bigger than I ever could have possibly imagined. So help us get over that hump and follow this series and all of our other series. We've got some great stuff coming up here really, really soon. So be sure to keep an eye out for all of that. And lastly, if you guys haven't found us on social media, all those links are down below too. So you guys can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Libsyn. So be sure to hit us up over there and interact with us. We'd love to talk to you guys and say hey. So that is going to do it for our final quick looks regarding a Mastery. I'm Eric with Team Badman signing out. So thank you guys so much for watching. And like always, stay bad. We'll see you guys next week for the Cell Jr. MP stack. Wonder what it could do. I don't know, but we'll find out next week. Catch you later.